Anthony Joshua, I'd go to an island and I'd move there and I'd never box again.
Podcast is intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
Boxingvoice.com.
You need that fear.
All I'm trying to do is make a stand for something that I truly believe is right. I truly believe is right. I want to be like you. Come on, man. I'm the face of boxing. I'm the cash cow. I hold the record for pay-per-view. Me.
My drop. I know my drop. I know my situation. I want to fight. That's my
Dazn production.
check it, you know. Fight is gonna be very difficult for both of us.
Boxingvoice.com.
Good morning, TBV, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another glorious morning. Pat yourselves on the back as God has given you another day to interact with your loved ones and family. And today we're going to be talking some boxing. So if you're just joining the live stream, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Why? To show your appreciation for the only boxing podcast that is daily, every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, 6 a.m. West Coast, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, and 2 p.m. UK time. We have a lot to discuss, and on the docket today is Andy Ruiz Jr., not Anthony Joshua, becomes a star. Can he be bigger than Canelo? That's the argument. We're going to have Keith Eidig, boxing scene lead writer, on the podcast this morning at 9:30 to discuss this topic. See, what does he think? A man with so many years in this sport, he's seen titles exchange hands. He's in the know with these fighters. We know he has a good reach into the PBC realm. Maybe he can tell us, shed some light on any possibilities, future moves for Andy Ruiz after dethroning Anthony Joshua. So the question is, can he be bigger than Canelo? The simple answer for me is abso-fucking-lutely. He's a heavyweight. Outside of him being a heavyweight, he's an everyday guy like you and me. He looks more like you and me than we look like Canelo. So, yeah, I think this guy has a crossover appeal. You know, massive crossover appeal. I'm seeing it because the common folk can relate. The common man, the blue collar man can relate. You know, I'm hearing comedy skits left and right about this fight, and all they're saying is, that's it, I'm getting rid of my gym membership. Look at who just beat the heavyweight champion of the world. I don't need to go to the gym. The second thing on my list, Andy Ruiz speaks English. It's a very important element in celebrity status, in America at the very least. But him being Mexican-American is a bit of the both worlds. It's something that I believe is going to cross him over. Again, he's a heavyweight. He has bigger fights. Walk with me real quick. If somehow Al Heyman can convince AJ and Eddie, don't do this in the UK. Don't close this off to the masses. Let's do it in Vegas or San Antonio. You know, let's add Andy Ruiz's demographic. Let's help them watch this fight, attend this fight. Let's do it in San Antonio. Let's do it in Dallas. Let's put 50,000 there. If AJ brought 10 for the first fight, what would he bring for the second fight with the buildup? What would Mexico do? Would they show up for Andy Ruiz? Again, I say he's a heavyweight. He has more casual, mainstream, crossover appeal. That is my opinion. And the difference between he and Canelo, for those thinking, hell no, there's no way he can top Canelo. Canelo, dare I say, was brought up the right way. Ruiz, on the other hand, earned it the hard way, the unexpected way. He's the Mexican Rocky. I know they've already tried to give that title to Josecito Lopez, the Riverside Rocky, but this is the true blue Rocky story. His quote says, "Mom, you don't have to struggle ever again. I got you." There's rumors of $3 million, $4 million, $7 million for this fight. Whichever one of those rumors is true, his life has definitely changed. If you never had $1 million, no way you could spend $4 unless you just want to go out there and get crazy, you know? If you're already used to living to a certain way and they drop $4 million on your lap, I'm sure you can make it last. You can make it do what it do. Speaking of you doing something, hit that thumbs up button if you're just joining us for this live stream. We're talking Andy Ruiz Jr., dethroning Anthony Joshua, becoming a U.S. star. I dare to say global. Why? Because, like my third point, he's Mexican. So he brings both worlds. Mexican-American living in California, Mexican by blood, parents, grandparents, heritage that will add to the global stardom, that will add to, Dazn has Dazn Mexico, right? I'm sure. And if not, Televisa. Now we're talking international viewership, possibly pay-per-views. But at the very least, Mexican make up a very big portion of United States residents. We see them come out in masses anytime Canelo fights. And again, I say it's the heavyweight division. He can probably bring them out tenfold. Now, there's always this argument amongst fans that he's not a real Mexican. They won't come out because he's Mexican-American. I just don't believe that, especially when you dethrone a champion. See what's different? It was different if he would have went the Charles Martin route and won a vacant title and the guy tripped. But he beat the guy that people thought was the best. People thought Deontay Wilder was ducking Anthony Joshua. People thought Anthony Joshua would beat Tyson Fury. This man was a 22-1 underdog. What does that count for? What does that count for moving forward? How bright does that star burn when you can flip the tables on the A side? Look at the side-by-side. They're putting him amongst Ali. I'm putting him amongst Canelo. I think he surpasses Canelo, tops Canelo, but he has to win. He has to win. And after yesterday's show, I hear so many of you feel that he will easily get the rematch handled. If that's the case, my theory could come to fruition. If he could beat AJ one more time, whether it's in the UK or here in the US, because if they do it in the US, if they could convince AJ, who's on a fight-by-fight deal with Dazn, if they could convince him to come on home to Showtime, like H Money likes to say, but the opposite way. Come on home to Showtime. Let's do this pay-per-view. Let's do it pay-per-view. Let's put this Mexican-American to the test. Let's put him in Vegas. Let's put him in California. Let's make him the A-side. Let's see if his fan base stands behind him. Because Oscar stood behind him. Oscar took to his social media. Oscar is another Mexican-American gold medalist. And his quote was, the difference was the chin. The chin. People are calling Anthony Joshua the new Amir Khan, the new Prince Nassim Hamed. So there is a huge possibility that Andy Ruiz can do it again if it's true. If it just comes down to Anthony Joshua being chinny. We've seen him hurt before. It's always been by shorter men. Can Andy Ruiz just have that kryptonite? But the point is, if he can do it one more time, it frees him all the way up to do whatever he would like to do. Whatever he would like to do. If he can beat one more time, he can do whatever. Adam Kovnacki already took out to his social media. What did Adam say? Looks like I'm going to be calling you out now. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, yes, you are, because all eyes have turned to Andy Ruiz Jr. Why was Mikey so successful? Because he proved he could fight. This one fight proves Andy could fight. This one fight proves he doesn't need the judges. This one fight was going to be taken from him. If you look at the scorecards, if you look at the official scorecards, they were going to take this fight from Andy Ruiz. They had Anthony Joshua up on one judge's scorecard, and on the other two, they had it even. Even though the man scored 4 knockdowns. But for those that thought he had no power, I ask you, is it Anthony Joshua now that has no chin? Or is Andy Ruiz a beast? Could he knock out everybody in the heavyweight division? Because we're talking about 4 knockdowns. That seems like a lot. That seems like a lot of knockdowns. We have to assume he has power, or we're going to have to go on a limb and assume AJ has no chin. Is he Amir Khan? Is he Prince Nassim Hamed? It's up to you to decide. Really up to you to decide. But he has no longer the champion. He's no longer the champion. He's not unified, and he has a decision to make. According to Deontay Wilder, in our interview with Deontay Wilder yesterday, which you can catch on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, anywhere that podcasts are found, or right here on youtube.com/Thaboxingvoice, the heavyweight champ of the WBC title was on the show with us, and he feels that it's a strong possibility AJ will not take this rematch. He thinks it's a strong possibility AJ will not take this rematch. If that's the case, doors open up. Doors open up for Andy Ruiz, and he can do so much. I do believe that if that's the case, I think Eddie Hearn will offer Andy Ruiz anything under the sun. Anything under the sun to have another return fight on Dazn versus anyone that he wants, just to keep him busy in case they can, convince AJ to make a decision and come back and get that rematch. He has until December. He has 7 months to make a decision. Maybe they give Andy Ruiz a Joseph Parker rematch. Does Parker deserve a unification rematch with Andy Ruiz coming off of 2 losses in a tune-up? Maybe that's exactly what Andy Ruiz wants, coming off a big fight with Anthony Joshua. Why not? Avenge a loss in a perceived easier fight. Now that you've beat the man, you got to be able to beat the man that the man beat. Or can you? How good is Andy Ruiz? What do we know? I ask again. Is the power real, or is it AJ's chin? We've seen him hurt. We've heard the rumors. What is true? What are we to believe? Because if Andy is hitting like that, can he do that to Tyson? Can he do that to Wilder? Can he do that to Kovnacki? Did this man have this power that we didn't know? Because if that's the case, he could certainly top Canelo. If you can knock out Tyson and Wilder, how aren't you the face of boxing? And you're Mexican. Listen. We say it all the time. They come out. They support. He's the first Mexican-American heavyweight champion. Zuldo was the first 168-pounder. They supported him. You know, you got guys like Canelo and Oscar and just multiple others coming out and just showing love to the champ. His social media has blown up. The dude was at like 100,000. He's almost at 600,000 right now. Almost at 600,000 and climbing. Interesting to see what happens next here. Interesting to see. Wilder put that bug in our ears, and now I'm wondering, does AJ take this rematch? Does he activate this rematch now? Because if he doesn't, it just opens up doors for Andy Ruiz, who's number one on BoxRec. And probably going to be number one on everybody's list just because no one expected the 22-1 underdog to come from behind. Number one on BoxRec. You know, Deontay Wilder right behind him at number 2. He has options in this division, in my opinion. A lot of options. If AJ does not take that fight, we know that Povetkin works with Matchroom. Dillian White is tied up with Rivas. Pulev with Top Rank. But Parker newly signed to Matchroom. Kanaki, stablemate of PBC with Ruiz. Dominic Brazil on bed rest for 90 days due to knockout loss. Hammer coming off of a loss. Maybe this is the swan song. But what does Hammer bring? A German. He doesn't bring much. You need a name. You need a name for Andy Ruiz to come do his victory lap in LA. StubHub, maybe Vegas. You know? Do you bring him to New York? Do you get him in there with a Thomas Adamick? Make sure he gets a knockout. You know? Or do you bring Adamick to LA? Do you throw him in there with a Charles Martin, familiar name, a name that AJ beat? Or is that too tough at the moment? Do you milk him? Do you nurture him? Do you try to make him bigger than Canelo? What would Al Heyman and PBC do now that this has fell on their lap? Do they give him an Arthur Spielka? You know? It's very interesting. Very interesting. So at 9:30, we're going to have Keith Idek from Boxing Scene. We're going to talk some boxing with him. We're going to ask him the same questions. How does he see not Deontay Wilder, but how does he see Andy Ruiz topping Canelo? Does it have to be beating a Deontay Wilder, or could it just simply be a unification with Deontay Wilder that would be on Cinco de Mayo or Mexican Independence Day in September? What makes more sense for the boxing fan? What makes more sense from a marketable standpoint, right? If you're trying to market Andy Ruiz, again, if we're going to follow Ness's idea of him possibly having the potential to be bigger, topping a Canelo, how do we do it? How do we get them there? But Adam Kanaki came out on his social media, like I said, and he said, let's go. Fat boys, hashtag fat boys. Ruiz looks like I will be calling you out. Now, congrats. But he put hashtag fat boys, because guess what? He's the same way. He's the same way. His other messages, I'm patiently waiting. Patiently waiting because he turned down this opportunity. This could have been him, but it is Ruiz. This could have been Adam Krabnacki, who on Twitter only has 11,000 followers, where Andy Ruiz moved from 6,000 to 50. The power of winning. Ruiz's life's changed moving forward completely. But I'm going to take some calls. I'm going to open up these phone lines while we wait for Keith Eidig. We got about another 7 minutes or so before we get there. Topic of conversation, obviously, can we turn this man into the face of boxing? Does he have the possibility of dethroning Canelo as the A-side, the face of boxing? Can he do what Canelo can't do because he's a heavyweight unlike Canelo, because he speaks English unlike Canelo, because he was in a fight where he was a 22-1 dog unlike Canelo? Even if you thought Canelo wasn't the favorite versus Mayweather or Golovkin or Lara, he made out pretty good. And the odds weren't this apart. Weren't this lopsided, upside down. Ruiz did the unthinkable. And if he can beat the man that everyone perceived to be the man, what is he going to do to the rest of the top of the division? But open up these phone lines. You know the number to call in, 1-425-569-5241. Press 1 one time to voice your opinion right here on the Voice of the People hotline.
Tell the truth.
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey installation, visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Going out to Florida. Joaquin, talk to me.
Yo, what up? First off, happy belated birthday, bro. Tried to get in yesterday, but it was a packed show yesterday. But yeah, happy belated, man. Great fight on Border Wars, great event too.
Thank you.
Enjoyed watching it, man. But yeah, Andy Ruiz shocked the world. Flipped it on his head. I was going crazy in the crib watching that fight, man. I couldn't believe it like everybody else. I don't think off of this one fight. So, man, Mexicans really love Canelo, especially him being from Mexico, whereas Andy Ruiz is a Mexican-American. Not that makes huge difference because they got behind De La Hoya, but I just think it's different. I don't know if he could take Canelo's spot. He would have to beat Wilder or Tyson Fury or, get some more notable wins on his record to surpass Canelo. But Mexican people, they love their people. They love boxing. They show up and show out. I think he'll definitely be a huge draw, and I think that we're underestimating his draw to the casual fan now, because I don't know what y'all seen, but my social medias were flooded with Andy Ruiz. I mean, people who never talk about boxing, people who probably didn't even watch the fight, but they saw the memes and they saw the highlights, you know what I mean? And now they're like, yo, who is this fat Mexican dude that just knocked out Anthony Joshua? You know what I'm saying? They're like, whoa. This is crazy. So I think he's going to draw in the casual fan on top of the Mexican fans, man. He can definitely become a big draw. He'll just have to keep winning. If he does rematch AJ and he beats him, now I think we got a little more of a conversation now. Now you're getting up to that Canelo level. But, I just think Canelo's been putting in the work for a long time. He has got a lot of notable wins under his record, and he's got the longevity over Ruiz. I think that's where that'll play a bigger part in making Ruiz a star. But I think he could definitely be a huge star so long as he keeps winning, so long as he keeps fighting good opponents. Being Mexican obviously is gonna help, and I think he drew in the casual fan last night. He really did. So huge shout out to Andy Ruiz, man. I was so happy to see that happen. I did want to say too. I wanted to say this yesterday. I'm gonna say it today. AJ didn't take $50 million from Deontay Wilder, so he lost to Ruiz and didn't make $50 million. If that's correct, he didn't make $50 million to get knocked out by Ruiz. Should have took the $50 million from Wilder plus the back end money. Got knocked the fuck out. It would have been a more notable loss because it wasn't to a nobody, or a guy that looks like Ruiz, right? If he would have lost to Wilder, it would have been like, well, hey, it happens, Instead, he thought he took a cherry and got his ass embarrassed and beat up. And I think mentally it's going to play a huge part on him for the rest of his career. I don't know if he can bounce back from this, then good luck. That'll be good for him, and I'd like to see it. But I just think that mentally Ruiz kind of destroyed him. I think he took AJ's heart out there, man, and I don't know if AJ will bounce back, because got to remember, nowadays guys don't box for glory.
Do
Guys
you
get
think
into the
he
ring for
quit?
money.
Do you think he
I
quit?
do think he quit. I think he quit. He looked to me like he was looking for a way out. When you start looking at your corner.
Cut it. Going out to my mastermind in Texas, Joseph. Talk to me.
What's good, man? There's a lot of potential for Ruiz to become a huge star, but he's going to have to beat Deontay Wilder and win this rematch, obviously, if it's taken.
But Joseph,
can do those two things.
Joseph, why does he got to beat Wilder? Let's assume AJ doesn't want the fight. Why can't Andy Ruiz now do in America what AJ was doing in the UK? Why can't he just set up a bunch, at least 3 straight fights in Los Angeles, StubHub and
That's why I say, like I said yesterday, you got to do like the Areola fight. You can build his name, but as far as to be on the level of Canelo, he need that win.
But this is that win. Canelo never beat nobody that he was a 22-1 underdog. This is the win. This is Triple G. This is Mayweather. This is Laura, all wrapped in one.
Like a lot of what I'm saying is, a lot of Mexican fans, they all perceive that Wilder would beat AJ. Mexican fans love the power. They love the things like that. And so, I mean, to put him on the level of Canelo, like he's going to be a big star off this one, but to get to Canelo's level, he'd have to do that because, especially with Mexican fans, he's Mexican-American. Mexicans from Mexico and Mexican-Americans don't have a great history of getting along. A lot of people have the misconception that Mexican fans were behind Oscar De La Hoya, and they really weren't.
Mexican women were.
Trinidad, but the women, that's not the same as the hardcore Mexicans.
But they buy. They buy and they come to fights. Oscar's fights had plenty of women in there, and they buy pay-per-views.
But we're talking about the hardcore Mexican fan base, and after he fought Trinidad, especially those last 3 rounds, they turned on him. They were against him again. That's why they rooted heavy against him versus Vargas. They adopted Vargas in because of Oscar's style. And then Canelo, you got to remember with Canelo, he's been popping in Mexico since he was like 16 years old. He was a sensation there as a kid, and he's built it. So to get to that level of Canelo, a win over Wilder would do it, because Wilder, I guarantee you, Mexican fans think, okay, he beat AJ.
But wait a minute, isn't the argument that AJ was bigger than Wilder? The argument was that he was globally more known, more recognized than Wilder. The argument was that he was perceived to be the man in the division. So how do you beat the man and you got to beat the other guy?
Well, the thing is, we're talking about North America, and don't forget, Deontay has fought in Mexico. He's got a bigger established name, and he had the style that Mexicans love better. Mexicans love power. Mexicans love warriors and knockouts. Let's be real. We don't got that same mentality from AJ. He never came across as a warrior, and Wilder has. Wilder's running back with Ortiz. Wilder's been rocked and didn't quit and kept coming against Ortiz.
Yo, Ruiz proved to me that he's a warrior, champ. Ruiz proved to me that he's a warrior. Got up off the canvas, and, he definitely beat the crap out of AJ. That's warrior style. Like, I don't see why he's got to beat Deontay Wilder in order to become a star. I think beating Deontay Wilder solidifies stardom, But what would stop Andy Ruiz and his team from AJ not taking this fight, and then all of a sudden they just go and they line it up with a Povetkin or a Carlos Takam? I mean, I don't like those names because we're talking about StubHub. So I would say a motherfucking Areola. Mexican versus Mexican. Battle of the Mexican heavyweights. You give the other heavyweight an opportunity to be a Mexican heavyweight, and you bring out all the Mexicans so they can know who he is. He beats Areola, moves on from there. Maybe you go somewhere else. I don't know right now. I'll take a call, think a little bit hard. I don't want to say the wrong name after an Areola. But an Areola in a StubHub, coming home party, who's going to argue? Who's going to say, oh, that's a tune-up? We didn't argue that fucking AJ was fighting Andy Ruiz, so why would we argue that Andy Ruiz is going to get a fucking swan dance song, in his hometown? he should be allowed. If you're just joining in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It helps with the visibility of the show. Lets us know you appreciate what we're doing. Lets these callers know that there's a bunch of people out there listening to them and they wants to hear their thoughts on these particular subjects. Let's get out to another pound for pounder in the Nolia, RMV.
What's good, Warden?
What up, what up, what up?
Yesterday, after listening to that call the other day with Wilder, I hope you guys understood that this dude wasn't no dumb country bumpkin Alabama fool. It was a
RMV, gotta get right back to you. I see our guest, Keith Eidick of BoxingScene.com. How are you? Good morning. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit of boxing with you on the show this morning. I'll just bring you up to speed. If you don't know, what we're discussing is the possibility of Andy Ruiz topping Canelo Alvarez. Is there any way that you can see, with your experience in boxing, that this heavyweight can be a bigger sensation than the Mexican Canelo Alvarez?
Hey, Nestor, good morning, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. No, I don't really see that. It's a great story. Obviously, he's got Mexican blood in him, of course, but he's from Southern California. He's an American. I mean, he's an American citizen. Canelo is a Mexican through and through and has been an established star in this sport for such a long time. I don't really see that happening.
So how much cachet does the heavyweight division have? Because we hear that cliche over and over that the heavyweight division brings out the casuals. The heavyweight division is the mainstream division. So can he not get more eyeballs on him than a potential Canelo?
I don't. Certainly not in Mexico, because in Mexico, Canelo is beloved. I mean, you'd find very few people in Mexico that don't love Canelo. So. In the United States, maybe, he could expand his brand here. It's a great story, too, Nestor, as you guys know. I mean, this guy, he doesn't look like he's physically fit. He's a very nice guy. He's a very humble guy. I think if people listen to him speak for just a minute, you would immediately like him. So I think if they put him on the right talk shows and they can get him on Jimmy Kimmel and shows like that and get him some mainstream exposure, I think people will really take to him because he's a really likable guy. There's not an ounce of disingenuous nature in him. The guy is a really, really nice guy. He, even after beating Joshua, he didn't talk any trash or anything. He showed a lot of respect for Joshua, and Joshua also showed a lot of respect for him right after the fight. Maybe some people are saying that he showed him too much respect and almost seemed happy to give away the titles. But, Andy Ruiz is a very likable person. I think he'll capitalize on this moment. But let's not forget, he has to now go to the UK and do this again to really. He's going to make a lot of money for the rematch, obviously, but to really capitalize on this and then go and fight, maybe Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury or someone else after that, he's got to pull this off again.
How much do you believe in Andy now that he's done this? Because there's a lot of haters, skeptics coming out saying that, look, we've always known this about Anthony Joshua. There were signs, there were rumors that he's been knocked down or knocked out in sparring. We've seen him knocked down and hurt in professional fights. Or is Andy all of a sudden a puncher? Because we're talking about 4 knockdowns in one fight with the man who was perceived to be the best in the division.
I don't think Joshua ever really recovered from the left hook in the 3rd round. I think his legs were gone after that, and that was, fairly obvious. He was able to move around in the 4th round and the 5th round where not a lot happened, but I don't think he really recovered from that. So Andy Ruiz can punch, obviously. I mean, and the amazing thing to me when I went back and watched the fight a couple of times yesterday was when he got up from that initial knockdown, which was the first knockdown of Andy Ruiz's career. Joshua unloaded a perfect right hand on him that would have knocked out most people, and Andy Ruiz didn't even budge, and he just came back firing, and he hurt Joshua maybe 5 seconds later with that left hook that changed his whole life. So, so he's a good puncher, but you know how it goes, Nestor. I mean, when a guy loses, all of a sudden he wasn't that good, and blah blah blah. Look, Joshua had done some very impressive things, and while we had always heard that he had, all these rumors about him getting knocked cold in the gym and knocked down in the gym. So there was always that skepticism surrounding him. Let's not rewrite history and say that this guy was garbage now. I mean, and that's taking away from what Andy Ruiz, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but that takes away from what Andy Ruiz accomplished on Saturday night, which was one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history. and really takes away from what Anthony Joshua accomplished in a short amount of time with barely any amateur career. So, Ruiz is legit, though, because, Nestor, when he was coming up, the top-ranked matchmakers who, they know boxing like no one, like Bruce Trampler and Brad Goodman really know boxing backward and forward, and they really were high on Andy Ruiz. They thought at some point he could win a heavyweight title in this 4-belt era. They really thought that he could be a heavyweight champion. Now, why did Top Rank cut? That's a question that Bob Arum can answer, I guess. But they really thought that he would win a heavyweight title, and here he is. A little later maybe than they thought, but he's 29 years old, still in his physical prime, and he's got 3 of, or if you count the IBO, he's got 4 heavyweight titles, and he's in a position to make an enormous amount of money.
So you spoke about him having to do this again. We had Deontay Wilder on the podcast yesterday, and he feels that from what he's seen in Anthony Joshua's face and body language, he doubts Joshua takes the rematch. Let's say that does happen, and Andy is given the opportunity to be free. Can Al now put together a plan to make him as big as possible or bigger than Canelo? Because I'm looking at, if he can beat AJ again, that kind of solidifies him. And then he's free to do his own thing. Maybe a come-home fight with Areola in L.A. or something. But you don't think even beating AJ again, he becomes a bigger star? It has to be Wilder in your opinion?
No, I think he would. No, I think he would, especially if he goes to the UK, because that'll be a stadium fight. And the rematch will be a stadium fight. If I had to guess, it would probably be at Wembley Stadium in either October or November. That's the time frame that Eddie Hearn mentioned to us after the press conference on Saturday night. But one thing I will say, I understand why Deontay Wilder said what he said, because Joshua's body language before, during, and after the fight was not good on Saturday night. However, from a business standpoint, they absolutely, positively cannot allow Andy Ruiz to fight someone else before this rematch takes place. From what I was told, he's contractually obligated for the rematch to happen by the end of this calendar year. So you have basically 7 months from now to put that fight together. If Joshua were, for some reason, were to allow Andy Ruiz to fight someone else, you're giving away control of those belts, because what if the next guy knocks off Andy Ruiz? Well, you don't have a contractual commitment from that guy to fight you. So now he's Anthony Joshua, and you might be able to entice him to come over to the UK and fight you again. He cannot relinquish control of these titles. And the only way to make sure that he has an opportunity to fight for those 4 titles again, where it's guaranteed, is fighting this immediate rematch with Andy Ruiz. That's what, whether he really wants it or not, that's what they'll convince him of, because otherwise he's giving away all of the bargaining power that he actually has. And I don't see them doing that.
Now, is there any way, any loophole, any way that we would get some shocking news and Andy doesn't take the rematch? What does the contract in these situations actually state? Like, would he be sued if he doesn't rematch? Does he have the right to negotiate if he doesn't want to go to the UK? Can Al Heyman and Showtime offer AJ a US package and say, let's do it here instead? The numbers make more sense because he's Mexican-American. We can, sell out a stadium in San Antonio or Dallas. Is all that off the table and this is strictly a matchroom show because of the contract?
Yeah, no, so these are really smart people that put these deals together, and you always have to have contingency plans in place in the event that something like this happens, and they do have that in place. Matchroom is in control of this rematch. It will be where they say it is, and it'll be in the UK. I mean, he's not... Look what happened the first time that he came to the United States. I don't think we're going to see Anthony Joshua fighting in the United States anytime soon, and I'm not saying that's the reason that he lost, but
as a writer
they're going to bring this fight back to the UK.
I hate to interrupt, but I mean, as a writer, right? Like, I'm not a beat writer, so the shit that I would write, I talk it. So I'm saying, if this man came over here to conquer America, his hashtag was, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over, then you get beat. It's kind of tucking your tail between your legs if you run home and say, now you got to fight me in my home territory where I'm comfortable, where, I got the advantage. Doesn't that make him look worse by forcing the rematch in the UK?
Well, nothing's going to make him look worse than what happened Saturday night, so I don't think he's really all that concerned about that. I understand what you're saying, but this is business. They have to get this rematch back to the UK, where it would be a huge fight at Wembley Stadium. Look, you know the state of boxing in the United States, Nestor. We're immersed in the sport. We're passionate about the sport. Most of mainstream America ignores boxing. Andy Ruiz's story is amazing. The biggest upset, since Hasim Rahman knocked out Lennox Lewis. That's a long time ago. That's 18 years ago. And that's all well and good. But they are not going to sell 80,000 tickets anywhere in the United States for this fight. And they're contractually obligated to go to the UK. So, again, I don't see Eddie Hearn giving up any of their bargaining power by saying, okay, we'll come to the United States again. I'm not saying that it was a commercial failure, because Saturday night was a huge success in the sense that they packed Madison Square Garden. A lot of Brits came over. It was a raucous atmosphere, on Saturday night. It was pretty amazing. You had all these people singing their songs and everything, and they obviously went home disappointed, but from a commercial standpoint, it was a success. But they're going to bring this rematch back to the UK, and there's really nothing Andy Ruiz or Al Heyman can do about it, because they'll be sued if they don't. So if Andy Ruiz were to get hurt, well, then you would be in a position
90
to say,
seconds.
okay, well, does Joshua want an interim fight? But based on what happened to him Saturday night, you don't know. None of us could say with any certainty where he is mentally, where he is physically, and taking any other fight is going to be dangerous. So get him to the Ruiz rematch. If he can't beat Andy Ruiz in this rematch, he's done anyway. So what's the difference, So they're going to find that out, and they're going to find it out in the fall sometime, and then they'll go from there.
I was going to ask you that, if you thought,
60 seconds.
if your opinion was, if he lost the second time, does he retire, or does he still try to rebuild a la David Price? I mean, Matchroom does have a history of bringing guys back.
Yeah, I don't think he would. It depends on how he got knocked out. If he got knocked out in spectacular fashion, you never know what he might do. He has made a lot of money for a guy who's only been in boxing for 5.5 years. He made over $30 million for his fight on Saturday night. He's made some good money so far. So, so it would really depend on how the rematch unfolded, I think. But yeah, you really do have, even though he's only 29 years old, you have to question where he is mentally now, because the other thing is, Nestor, I'm just curious what your opinion might be on this. Why was he tired in the second round of this fight?
I seen him tired in the first
10
this fight. It looked
seconds.
like he was exhausted. Well, that's what I'm saying. A guy who looks like this and clearly does all this training and to get into supposedly get into this kind of shape, why is he gassed out in the first or second round of a 12-round fight? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, the most obvious reason people won't automatically assume is that because he's so experienced and he's been there 1,000 times, but it's the lights and the pressure. You get that adrenaline dump, and now you can't breathe. You've done everything, but once you're in the ring, maybe there was too much pressure for this U.S. debut. The fact that Deontay Wilder passed him the baton and he had to impress, he forced that performance from Deontay by saying that he wanted him to do it in 9 so that he could say that he did it in 7. And now it was his turn to show out. I don't know, maybe the pressure got to him and made it hard to breathe.
Yeah, it's interesting, Nestor, because his legs were gone. Like in the third round, his legs are gone. Like what the hell? It just doesn't. You're right about the pressure part of it, because Eddie Hearn, I do give them a lot of credit. They did not make any excuses whatsoever after this fight, because you know how it goes. Every time a guy loses, they say, "Well, I'm not going to make any excuses," and then they rattle off 15 excuses. They didn't make any excuses. He said, "Look, Andy Ruiz was better than me tonight. I shouldn't have put myself in a position where I was on the canvas once, much less 4 times. And now I have to go win my titles back." He handled it with class. He handled it with dignity. Some people think he was, kind of too accepting of the fact that he had just lost 4 heavyweight titles and seemed almost relieved. And Eddie Hearn used that word. He said maybe there was a sense of relief for Joshua because there's so much pressure on him in the UK. He's a mainstream. There's not a boxer other than Floyd Mayweather in the United States that is anywhere near the kind of star that Anthony Joshua is in the UK. So he can't go anywhere without being mobbed, and that's still going to be the case because he's still an elite heavyweight and and a guy in his prime and a good-looking guy and all that kind of stuff. So what Eddie Hearn said was maybe there's some pressure relieved from him now where he'll regain some of the hunger maybe that he had lost And again, he wasn't making an excuse. He was just trying to figure out maybe what was going through Anthony Joshua's mind. So Joshua says that he did not underestimate Andy Ruiz. He's the only person that truly knows whether that's true. So, we'll see what happens in the rematch. But he's got a lot to prove now because there were more questions about him now than there ever were. And, of course, all of the Deontay Wilder's fans are now saying, look, this is why they didn't want to fight Deontay Wilder, because as soon as he got touched with one of those right hands, he was going to sleep. So, there's a lot of things working against Anthony Joshua now that he's going to have to fight through, and we'll find out what he's made of. Not physically, because we'll have to see whether he gets exhausted early in the fight again, but more so than anything, mentally, how he responds to this catastrophic loss, really.
If they did take the rematch, when would you look for a fight announcement?
It's a little early to say probably, but, they tend to build these fights in the UK a little longer in advance than we do here in the United States. Certainly Al Heyman is prone to announcing fights 5 weeks before they actually happen. So if this fight were to happen in October, I think they're going to give him as much time as they can. Now, in the contract, it states that the fight must happen by the end of the year. So you only have until December 31st. December is not a great month to do a fight of that magnitude, but I think if the fight happened in November, you'll get an announcement maybe in August, somewhere around there. There shouldn't be much really to, the financial terms are agreed upon in the contract. There's not much wiggle room here. So I think in terms of the deal coming together, I don't think it'll be all that difficult. And Andy Ruiz really doesn't have many options. He owes him an immediate rematch that has to happen by the end of the year. So it's not like he could squeeze in a fight in between. I guess he could, but what is he going to do? Fight in August? But I don't even think he's allowed to do that contractually. So I think he's going to go enjoy himself a little bit, and he well should. He's going to get a hero's welcome in Imperial, California, and and in Mexico for sure. They're going to embrace him as Mexico's first heavyweight champion, and hopefully he'll enjoy it. But hopefully he maybe historically he can learn from what happened to Hasim Rahman. Rahman, maybe enjoyed himself a little bit too much when he upset Lennox Lewis, and he turned down a 4-year, $68 million contract. A 4-fight, $68 million contract, which turned out to be a terrible financial decision for him. So maybe he can learn from some of the mistakes of guys before him who have pulled off these kinds of upsets. He'll get back in the gym. Manny Robles can keep him focused and go pull this off again, because if he does this again, then he's in position to do whatever he wants after that. And he can fight Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury or whomever. Those guys are going to fight again, of course, but he can fight whomever he wants, make a huge sum of money. And really, Nestor, good for him, man. This guy's got 5 kids. He's got 4 biological children. His girlfriend had a child from their previous relationship. That's a lot of kids to take care of. So if he can go make some real money in the next couple of years based off of, what he did on Saturday night, good for him.
So I want to ask you about some of these rumors. People are saying that this is similar to Buster Douglas Tyson, with Tyson partying in China. People are assuming, I'm going to say, that AJ was partying in Miami. Does he give you that impression? Have you heard any of this?
No, he said before the fight, he did address this with us before the fight. He said, look, I went down there. They structured my training so that I didn't have any time off. He didn't have 2 days off in a row where he kind of made a joke. He said, look, if you had your normal training camp where you might have had 2 days off in a row for recovery, you might go out and party one day and try to recover the next day. He said, I didn't have any 2 days off in a row. I was pretty tired after all the tired seems to be a theme with him, obviously, but he said, I was pretty tired after the training. I didn't have time to go goof off really to party. I wasn't in the clubs. Look, again, he's the only one who truly knows this, but this is what he said before the fight. So he can't come back after the fight and say, hey, I was lying before the fight. I was really partying all the time in Miami, and I wasn't really training. And if he did do that, that's his fault. I don't think he was doing the types of things that Tyson was doing in Tokyo before he fought Buster Douglas. But, it's not as big of an upset as that, of course, because Tyson was a worldwide phenomenon. Buster Douglas had been knocked out 3 times before he fought Mike Tyson, and it was a 42-1 underdog. So it's not quite that type of upset, but it's a pretty big upset. It's the biggest in the heavyweight division. Some people are saying since Vladimir Klitschko, Corey Sanders, but it's the biggest upset probably since Lennox Lewis and Hasim Rahman. So, but again, that would be taken if people start pointing to those things, looking for excuses for Anthony Joshua. That's taking away from what Andy Ruiz did. not only did he come in there and as a fat guy and guy who really has no chance and blah blah blah, the guy got off his trunks, off the seat of his trunks, and fought his way out of it, knocked down a 25-1 favorite 4 times, and took the heavyweight titles from him at a sold-out Madison Square Garden that was full of Anthony Joshua's fans. So I just hope people don't take credit away from Andy Ruiz for what he did on Saturday, because it was pretty amazing.
I know you're pressed for time, so you can speed through these last couple, like I said, rumors. We see ESPN, we see Fox, we see the world picking up the Drake curse. Anthony Joshua tweeted, "I'm about to break the Drake curse June 1st, and it looks like the curse got to him." Do you believe in the curse, and have you seen this?
I don't know. I don't know if I believe in the Drake curse or not. I guess we could really answer that question at the end of the NBA Finals, or probably the best way to do that. But the Raptors lost last night, of course. So it's interesting that everything he touches seems to turn to crap. But if I were Deontay Wilder, I wouldn't take any pictures with Drake. I guess I would say that.
Stephen A. Smith's comments on Andy Ruiz, calling him Butterbean. And Canelo reacting, being upset. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the way Canelo came back, because it was disrespectful to Andy Ruiz. I know Stephen A. Smith a little bit. His job is to draw reactions out of people and to be outrageous sometimes. I understand that, but it was just disrespectful to Andy Ruiz. I mean, give this guy some credit, man. I mean, and plus, don't mock people who box for a living, because it's a very difficult way to make a living. And Andy Ruiz also, he's a nice guy, man. I mean, there's no reason to take shots at this guy. I mean, all right, he's a little blubbery, but he went in there and knocked out Anthony Joshua. How about give him some credit instead of detracting from Anthony Joshua for what he didn't do? Give credit to Andy Ruiz for what he did do. Now, those of us who make our living in boxing and we're immersed in boxing, we wanted to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight. We're not going to see that for an even longer amount of time now. I don't think necessarily that we'll never see it, because in the past, remember, the biggest heavyweight fights of the last 2.5 decades, the 3 biggest heavyweight fights were the progress toward making those fights was impeded by knockout losses. Mike Tyson got knocked out, and he didn't fight Evander Holyfield until, I guess it was 6 years later, right? Now, the Riddick-Bowe-Lennox Lewis fight never happened. So, there's a possibility that Wilder-Joshua will never happen. But Lennox Lewis got knocked out in April of 2001. He came back and avenged that loss in really impressive fashion in November of that year. And then he fought Mike Tyson in his next fight. So it doesn't mean that we're not going to see the Joshua-Wilder fight just because this happened. If Anthony Joshua comes back and he knocks out Andy Ruiz in the rematch, I'm not saying people will forget it, but people have short memories, and they'll just say, okay, or that was a little blip on the and now we'll still get this fight. Now, Deontay Wilder has to continue winning what are going to be tough fights also against Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury. Those aren't easy fights either. And you could argue that Deontay lost his fight against Tyson Fury. Officially he did not, but there are a lot of people that think Tyson Fury won that fight. So, this has happened in heavyweight history. This is not the first time that this has happened. It won't be the last, and we just haven't had a huge heavyweight fight that we were building toward in such a long time. We probably forget some of those things sometimes, but I don't think that this ruins the fight in the long term. Certainly in the short term it does, but in the long term we still might see it.
Last one. I would like your opinion on whether or not you feel Deontay made a mistake not taking that Dazn deal now that we see what happened to Joshua.
Well, here's the thing. Had he taken that Dazn deal, Anthony Joshua still would have gotten knocked out on Saturday night by someone else. So, yes, I guess from a mathematical standpoint, you could argue that he made a mistake, but he made around $20 million for fighting Dominic Breazeale. He'll make a little more than that to fight Luis Ortiz again. So, I guess, but who's to get in someone else's pocket and say if he's okay with it? I mean, I would personally, if someone put a 4-fight, $120 million deal in front of me, I would have taken it if I were in his position. But he's okay with what he decided to do. But the one thing, Nestor, that I can't emphasize enough, and I've said this on other podcasts and in the other interviews, if you keep taking risks against guys who are big and strong and can punch, even guys who are considered inferior fighters or huge underdogs, you're going to get clipped at some point. And that's what happened Saturday night. That could very well happen to Deontay Wilder if you keep taking. Luis Ortiz might be 45 years old, might be 50. Who knows how old he is, right? But he can punch, and he didn't look particularly good in his last fight against Christian Hammer. But he can punch, so it's a risk for Deontay also if they fight. And it's looking like that fight is not going to be in September now, which is what we initially thought. I'm hearing now that it might be more October or November to kind of align with Tyson Fury's next fight, assuming he beats Tom Schwartz next week.
Yeah, he kind of indicated that yesterday on the show. I know I said that was my last one. This is truly my last one. I want to thank you, obviously, for coming on the show. And when you're done, you can just obviously give out your social media for anyone who isn't following you. But how do you see Wilder versus Ruiz playing out if that happens?
I think Deontay will beat him again. I think he's extremely confident
Ruiz.
because he beat him the first time.
Ruiz, not Ortiz.
I'm sorry. Ruiz. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ruiz. That's a good question. The difficult fight. Sometimes guys that are that big have difficulty fighting shorter fighters. I mean, that if you asked Anthony Joshua, that might have been one of his issues on Saturday night. So that's a good question. I just think that Deontay Wilder's power is just unlike anything else in boxing, and once he touches you with that right hand, if he gets a clean shot on you, he's going to knock you out. But who's to say, right? Because none of us thought what happened on Saturday night was going to happen, right?
Definitely didn't think that. I had guys calling in weekly telling me Ruiz would win, and I would laugh at them. I wish now I just put something on it. I got one guy actually bet 35 on the round and made 3,000. I wanted to cry. But listen, wow. Keith, man, thank you so much.
Good for him, man.
I know, good for him. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate you coming on the show every time you got some free time. I know you got another interview scheduled, so any social media, give it out, and have a great day. Thanks, Nestor. I appreciate you having me on, man. Yeah, my Twitter handle is IDEC Boxing, just IDEC Boxing, and and you can read me on BoxingScene.com. All right. Thanks a lot, Nestor. I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you, man. There you have it. Keith Idek from BoxingScene.com, always in the know and letting us know his opinion, his take. I wish he would agree with me. I want to believe Andy could become so big because of the Mexican-American thing. I know, and that's an argument that we have here on this show a lot. Guys feel like, no, he's not a true Mexican. He's not from Mexico, so he's not going to get that push. And I always feel differently. Maybe that's because I myself am a Dominican American, meaning that my parents were born in DR, but I was born here. I just feel like being from here, but having those deep-rooted roots to your home country, you get the both of both worlds. You get the best of both worlds. Like right now, they're gonna adapt him because they never had a heavyweight. Mexico would be dumb not to take this man in. They never had a heavyweight. Bask in that glory, make him your champion, and then let him prove why he's your champion. And if he can prove it, get behind him. Get behind him and make him bigger than the middleweight. It's only right. I bet you if he looked like, I don't know, is it Cain Velasquez or something, they'd probably jump all over this guy. But we're going to get back to these phone calls. I think I interrupted R&V in the middle of his call. R&V, talk to me.
Was good.
You there?
Good. I'm about the Mexican. He not true.
You breaking up, champ. Hang up, call back in, and I'll get right to you as you are a mastermind. We're going to go to Deej, the boomeranger in the UK. Good afternoon.
Nigga, when my name come up, respect it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Hey, yo, Skepta, on to them, boy. Oh, yeah, talk to boy. Go suck out your mama bumbo. You've seen it, you know how to and give your father a body wash, too.
Yo.
Yo,
sup, guys, man? Oh, man. Yeah, so this weekend, this disaster for Joshua, yeah, it might be just a disaster for the whole division. And these big fights, all these big fights that people are gambling on, it seems a little bit flat, but this has really opened up the division now. I don't think there's going to be a situation where fighters can duck Joshua now, to be honest. Even when he comes back, if he goes back, fights Ruiz, wins his title back, title back and he's linked to fighters. Fighters can't refuse that fight. Nah, they've got to fight him. I think he's got to find another way to be great as well. I think when he was having that fight with Klitschko told him that he will lose. I think Klitschko was referring that he was going to be the guy to beat him, but he said he would help him come back and become great again. And I think that's what he's going to have to try and do. But as for the Wilder fight and the Fury fight and those fights not happening, I think they do happen. But he's got to find a way back to actually make those things happen. I think deep down, whatever you think about the guy, I think everybody still wants to see that fight, just so they're sure that either Wilder and Fury can get the job done. You know, just for that clarity on the subject matter. You know, it's a shame, but really, I think.
Cut it. Deej, activate that boomerang status. We're going out to the 904-726. First time caller. 904-726. First time caller.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Your name, sir?
Yes, sir. It's Malcolm. Malcolm from Jacksonville.
Malcolm, talk to us.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm just listening, but I mean, if anything, I'll respond to, I guess, what was talked about earlier about Ruiz becoming as big as Canelo. I think he could if another caller said if he beat Wilder. I think if he beat Joshua in the rematch, become undisputed, be somebody like Wilder, I think that'll put him up there in that conversation. Man, but that's all I got, man. I'm just listening right now, just chilling out, listening, man. Appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate you, brother.
You know?
Thank you for calling in. We got your name down. We will address you, Malcolm, as such. We're going to go out to our pro boxer, Marlon Sims. Marlon, what's going on, brother?
What's good?
How are you, man?
Hey,
good morning.
So I was shocked at how it went down. I betted on Ruiz by knockout and by distance. So I won a couple of bucks off of it, so I was happy about it. I think I looked at it as AJ gave up in that fight. And if they do the rematch, I think that Andy will pull it off. Again, I'm not sure if it'll be by stoppage. I believe so. I felt that he was really baiting. At one point, he baited Anthony Joshua in that seventh round where it looked like he let Anthony Joshua catch him. And then Anthony Joshua tried to open up, and he reacted real quick. So I thought he did that amazing. I'm just happy that I put some money down on it.
Marlon, do you feel that Andy Ruiz could become a bigger star than Canelo?
Yeah, because like you said, it's the heavyweight division. You got to think about it. Even Mikey Garcia, who's a Mexican American, he has a large following, so he's going to be able to get people that the Mexican people, they stand behind they stand behind they countrymen. So he's going to get all of those people, and then he just knocked off basically a giant in the heavyweight division in phenomenal fashion. I think they're going to ride with him all the way.
All right.
So
well,
I
Marlon,
believe that he definitely could jump up and surpass Canelo.
Well, thank you for calling in, brother. Want to get to some other callers. We do appreciate you calling in. We got Dominic in Seattle. Talk to me.
Yeah, man. I think Andy Ruiz shouldn't take the rematch.
Well, we just spoke to a writer in the know that says he will be sued. It's a contract in place.
Yeah, but Tyson Fury didn't get sued, so what's the difference?
Well, Tyson Fury got
he can
stripped.
get sued, but he can make more money on the back end.
But he got stripped. You can't make no money without them titles.
Anyways, I think Anthony Joshua, he was on something, man. I never seen someone that big, so confused looking. He looked weak. He looked like he wasn't even wanting to be there. He looked like he quit to end. He was in the corner, and they told him, "Come on, come back. You can't just sit in the corner. This isn't Britain." In Britain, he got his hand wraps retied, all that shit when he got hurt. And I think it's done. I don't think Anthony Joshua's gonna take the rematch at all. At all.
We shall
and if
see.
he does, he's a sucker.
How if he does, he's a sucker? That don't even make sense. If he does, that means he ain't a sucker. But that being said, let's get back out to our pound for pound, see if he's ready. RMV, you got better service or what?
What's up, Warden?
All right,
Sound
talk to
better?
me.
Yeah. I'm man. Come on, we gotta be smarter callers around here, man. Even a writer, I'm surprised that he didn't even say just because he's not a true Mexican. He's from America. Mexico gets to fight for free. Am I right or am I wrong? Huh?
I wouldn't be able to answer that.
But majority of the time they get Canelo fights for free, right?
I think they get it through Televisa.
Okay, so if they get the fight for free, that means we're not counting the pay per view. So who buying the pay per view? Mexican Americans. So why the fuck a Mexican American wouldn't support a Mexican American?
That's
Come
what
on,
I
writers.
said. And we got
come
so many
on, writers. I
Mexicans
mean,
in
like
America.
you got to put two to two together. And on top of that, I'd rather get 1 million Mexican American buys than 1 million British buys because that's $20 a pop. So everybody's laughing at Josh for not. I mean, Wilder for not signing that contract. It's stupid because he still got money out there. Which that's what we kept. That's what Joshua kept saying. He's still gonna be $100 millionaire. He kept telling you that, guys, and y'all didn't want to listen. Joshua the one that stuck in Chuck. And if I was Joshua, the reason why I wouldn't take that rematch is two things. A, it looked like you did not want to pressure him on. You might have the same thing that Tyson Fury has. Which you might need, like on some real stuff. He might need to see a psychologist on some like real, because it looked like he was like, I'm tired of all this pressure on me. And on top of that, can we please talk about how Joshua dad and Eddie Hearn got into it? I mean, that's a story that only the UK people covering, and I'm trying to figure out still why Eddie Hearn and Joshua daddy would be fighting in the middle of the ring right after the fight. So
I need to see some quotes on what he was fighting about.
Cut it.
You know, I want to see what they was beefing over. But I didn't know. You know, I've been seeing the rumor out there, but I did not know that there was an issue.
Alabama.
I want Joshua. Joshua, come and see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses.
Boxingvoice.com. I guess my shit obsolete. He can duck and dodge all he want that shit. You see, he got to duck and dodge, nigga. I didn't get the call in yesterday, so I'm just let you know. You know, I did tell y'all what was gonna happen. I did pick Andy Ruiz on Thursday. You did laugh at me when I picked him. I did say Ray Robinson was gonna win. Ray Robinson should have won. He got cheated. I did put money on that and won $200 off a $1 bet on Ray Robinson and Ruiz. Where else I'm going with this? Ruiz should be a star in America because, you know, shit, all the fat boys gonna watch Ruiz too. He the fat boy superstar now. Y'all niggas forgot the fat boys.
He the new Biggie?
Yeah, that nigga the new Biggie. That's what's up, man. Y'all niggas forgot about the fat boys. Shit, it ain't only him. It's the fat boys who fucking with him too, bro.
Yo, you seen Adam Kanaki put hashtag fat boys. He said, looks like I'm going to be the one calling you out now.
Boy, y'all put Kornak and Ruiz in that nigga. That shit gonna be filled with fat people, nigga. Had that bitch rumbling. Y'all think it's a joke, man. Fat boys stick together, baby. We in this bitch for life. Hey, Ruiz, we fuck with you, but you don't fight Deontay, because I'm gonna have to go against you, dog. It's over with. I'm out in this.
But Javi.
Yo.
Can he be bigger than Canelo? That's the whole debate.
Yeah. I think he can, because look. If he keep winning, right, the Mexicans gonna fuck with him. But he also can get a lot of Americans to fuck with him, too. So if you get the Mexicans and you can capitalize just some part of the Americans, like, you know, fuck it. Like I said, the big boys gonna fuck with him. If he embrace this Snicker shit and all that, bro, everybody, they gonna fuck with him heavy.
You know, Snickers finally acknowledged them.
Yeah, they sent him a tweet.
And said, congratulations, Andy Ruiz, on a satisfying win. Because, you know, their thing is Snickers satisfies you. But, Javi, enjoy your morning. We're going to go to, let me make sure I got no more boomerangers and things like that. All right. So it is time to head on out to Mr. Knock You Down in Every Fight I Fight, Anthony Edwards, the Queen City Cobra. What's good?
Hey man, you know the Cobra's in the house. You know, I had a amazing weekend with everybody, man. You know, Border Woods got it popping. You know, still licking my wounds though, man. My shoulders hurt, my nose hurt from getting the shit counted out of me by Eric Cruz. So shout out to my man. But we were at the fight. You know, me, Mitty, Naja, and Saladin. We was at the fight, and you were right. There's not a bad house in the seat. So you could see, we sat so close, we could see the anguish on AJ's face. And from the start of the bell, like, I'm like, man, something wrong with him. Something a little bit off. Like, I don't know what it is, man. He looked bigger, stronger, but I'm like, all that muscle, man, he got to stop that shit. Stop all that bodybuilding shit, man. Like, so you see what I look like? I don't lift weights at all. So naturally, I mean, you just don't have to. And Ruiz did what he had to fucking do. He came in there, he touched him up. Like, when he got knocked down, because I had to apologize to Ruiz because I didn't give him a shot. I said third round. And it went completely opposite. The third round, and Ruiz showed just exactly who he was. And he came up there, he touched him up, man. Like, every punch you can see AJ's face moving. And every time he got hit, I seen less and less of his soul in his body. Like, and when he started stumbling and falling, I'm like, dear God. I mean, it was to the point UK fans was in there in tears. Like, Naja, she was sitting next to me. She was about to cry. Like, what the fuck just happened? It got crazy up in there. And he quit, man. Well, I can see the look on his face, man. He quit. Just like Beyonce said, he fucking quit. Like, I still, like, no credit away from Ruiz because he did his thing, but
cut it. Deej, Boomerang.
Yeah, you know what? This is Ruiz's moment, but you know, hasn't this win let a lot of people back in the game? I.e., you know, Parker's got a win over Ruiz, which is, you know, questionable for a lot of people. You know, he won that split decision. Does that let him back in the game? I believe
he's
Rivas
already back in the game, but it doesn't put him to the top of the list just because he holds a win.
No, it don't. It don't. But by the time he starts knocking on the door, are people going to feel the pressure when he starts barking like, yeah, beat that guy already? You know, Rivas there too. If he gets White out the way, you know, does he go, you know, off the fact that he's beat him as well? You know, in the amateurs as well. So, you know, I think this wins let a lot of other people back in the game. He might be number one on BoxRec when it comes to heavyweights, but I think he's a marked man. I think what's a little bit disappointing is that
how is he a marked man when he's got to fight? Like, you can't even touch Ruiz if you're any other heavyweight until he deals his business with AJ.
Well, who would you rather fight as a heavyweight champion? Would you rather fight Wilder or would you rather fight Ruiz?
Bro. I don't know, bro.
No, you know, man.
No. What I'm saying is this, brother. What I'm saying is this. Just like AJ, everyone was lining up to fight AJ. It wasn't because they thought he was more vulnerable. It was because he brought more money because he got more belts. And now, that's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Ruiz with 4 belts, being Mexican-American, any fight could be on pay-per-view. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all thinking just, you know, Mexican views from Mexico. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, man, I'm going to have to Google how many Mexicans live in fucking America right now, bro. Mexicans living in America. Let's see what the fuck this says. Because I'm trying to tell you, they're going to get way more pay-per-view buys, man. Dude, how many Mexicans are in the USA? 36.3 mil, dog. 36. Did I read that, bro? Let me see. As of 2016, Mexican Americans made up 11.2% of the United States population. 11%. Shit. Yo, from July, they've made up 63% of the Latinos in America. So there's more of them than Dominicans. You already know. So this is what I'm saying. This dude being a heavyweight champ, bruh, they gonna buy the fight. Remember I told y'all and y'all played me the fuck out. Y'all laughed at me when I said Canelo versus Chavez was going to be successful and was a pay-per-view. They gave it to y'all on pay-per-view and that shit did over 1 million buys. So now it's going to be the same way. They give you Areola versus Andy Ruiz. That shit doing like 500,000. 500,000. Go ahead. Laugh at me, but watch it. Laugh at me, but watch what happened. Let me go to Sal. Talk to me.
I had to unsubscribe from Patreon, man, dealing with this goddamn identity theft. I'll be back by the end of the month, though. But check this out. First thing first, you bitch ass niggas, UK, Troy, all you whole ass niggas, keep that same energy about when y'all was talking about AJ and his bitch ass can't lose. He gonna knock everybody out. He gonna clean the division. You bitch ass niggas ain't got none of that energy no more. You niggas is
They don't
hoes.
even call in.
You niggas is hoes. Keep that same energy. Because if it was Wilder losing the fucking Andy Ruiz, shout out to Andy Ruiz, but you niggas would be riding this nigga down to the grave right now. You niggas would be killing Wilder. And the nigga got knocked the fuck out and he quit. The nigga quit.
You got talking to the mic. You got talking to the mic, champ.
Can you hear me? The bitch ass nigga quit. The bitch ass nigga quit on this stool with fucking weak ass. Again. Oh, and Mike, fuck that. You talked all that shit about how you whooping the nigga ass in Border Wars and you got a draw. You clown. You Mike. You let me down, nigga. You let me down. I can't wait. When I get my mastermind status, I'm letting you have it, nigga. I'm out, Ness.
Sal, man, thank you for calling in. Energy, man. We're going to go out to more energy, man, from Milwaukee to TBV Zone.
BoxingVoice.com.
It's money to shit. Working that wrist. Ballin' like Swish. Diamonds wet like a fish. Pull up with them sticks. Come fuck with the clique. We fucked on your bitch. She sucking the dick. I'm whipping the work.
Hey, yo, what's going on? It's your boy H Money, Mr. Dazn, the Boxing Voice 2019 Rookie of the Year. And this, Anthony Joshua, he's a fraud. He's a quitter. He ain't got no heart. He's a fake. You right, Miss? He is the new Prince Nassim Hamed. He is the new Prince Nassim. He's a phony. He's a fake. Deontay Wilder is the greatest heavyweight of all time. Where all the haters at that was talking shit? Where they at? They ducking. Deontay Wilder, the king of boxing. And then, just imagine if Deontay Wilder fought Andy Ruiz. What would happen? Deontay Wilder would knock out Andy Ruiz in the first round. Everybody know it. The whole world knows it. And Anthony Joshua, you should be embarrassed. The UK, y'all should be embarrassed. Your champion put on a performance like that in America. There's no coming back. He's through next. And the zone, we had 200,000 subscribers. The rematch is going to be bigger in the UK. Next, I told you about the zone, and I'm gonna get Deontay Wilder home. Deontay Wilder gonna get paid $30 million to fight on the zone. Give him $300 million. Give him the Canelo deal. He deserves it. The zone y'all paying Anthony Joshua $30 million to get knocked out by Andy Ruiz. What about Deontay Wilder? Give him what he deserves. The zone. Yeah, we out here. It's the Bomb Squad. TBV, Deontay Wilder, the king of boxing. Let's go.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. H Money. Does AJ go down the long list of Prince Nassim Hamed, Amir Khan? Is he in there? Or is Ruiz a true heavyweight with true knockout power? Do you believe that Ruiz has that knockout power? He did put AJ down 4 times, or is AJ chinny? We're going to go out to Jay. Will, talk to me.
Hey, what's poppin', y'all? Good morning to everybody on the Boxing Voice, my favorite podcast. I just got a couple of things to say. One, let's not forget J-Rock got iced by Charlo, came back and beat the snot out of her. So people can lose and come back. I mean, I love H Money, but that idea that once you lose, you come
But
back,
J Rock ain't
that's
quit,
ridiculous.
champ. J Rock ain't quit.
I
Totally
mean, I
different.
mean, I mean, we calling it. We're saying he quit, but none of us are in his mind. We don't know what happened. And truthfully, the fact is that in the UK, it could possibly be that you can put your hands on the ropes and the fight will still continue. I mean, it's a stretch, I know, but it's still possible. And as for the Andy Ruiz, I think it's possible for him to be maybe as big as Canelo because one, yes, he has Mexican American roots, but another one, he speaks perfect English. And we all know part of the reason why Canelo is his star hasn't blown even more is because as an American, if I'm watching a program, sometimes you just don't want to watch subtitles. You don't want to hear an interpreter speak for him. So I think that he has the potential if he keeps the belts. If he beats AJ a second time, you know what's going to happen. Now he automatically gets tied into the real king of Wakanda, Deontay, and maybe 2021 we get to see a super match between the first Mexican heavyweight and Deontay. That's my call.
Cut it, cut it, cut it.
Thanks for calling in, Jay Will. Going out to Boomeranga in Canada.
Hello,
Jose in
Ness.
Canada, what up?
Yo, what disrespect, my friend. Disrespect. Anyway, first of all, Nestor, one of my great friends in life, man. Happy birthday, my friend. I wish I could have been there, but unfortunately, for health reasons, I couldn't. But all the best. You're a wise man. You built your career to the point where it's at right now. So I hope this next stage in life is amazing for you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. Now, from the fight, man. What a weekend, man. Fuck, could you ask for anything better? I think that was probably one of the most exciting fights I've seen. And that's what I love about boxing, man. It just ends up giving you some treats when you least expect it. The optics of this fight looked ridiculous. It was laughable. And I tell like a lot of listeners now, I guarantee you this Ruiz guy, man, he's going to be more popular than Deontay because it's truly the American dream, man. What this guy did is unbelievable. And he's going to be on late night shows. His fame is going to skyrocket this next week. I think whether or not he's more famous than Deontay is going to depend all on this week and the type of exposure he gets. This man might be everywhere you could think of, man. So good for him. Seize the opportunities. When you have a chance in life, you got to take it. Congratulations to him. I think Deontay is a little bit chinny as well, man. This guy took the punch straight on, and his legs didn't give out on him, man. So good for
Remember
him.
he got dropped. So
He got dropped, but he was never on
when he first got hit by AJ's biggest punch, he went down. But he got up, and then he was able to take AJ's next shot. But you're totally off subject. We're talking about Andy Ruiz and the possibility of being bigger than Canelo because he's a Mexican heavyweight, and the cliche is that heavyweights bring out the casuals. So we just went through the amount. There's 11%. They make up a very big percent of the population here in America, and it's 11% Mexican American, which means they can buy his pay-per-views. I believe he can be bigger than Canelo if he can beat AJ again and then go on his,
He'll never be bigger than Canelo here, and I'm going to invoke my boomerang when it comes back in. He's never going to be bigger than Canelo because he doesn't have that look, man. Latins, we all love like a good-looking guy, We love a beautiful
I don't
woman.
know, man. I think
who
the
we
fact
are,
that
man.
I think the fact that he looks like me and you, the fact that now we could take our shirt off in the beach because this guy looks like us and he's the heavyweight champ of the world, is gonna make all out of shape guys happy again. We don't gotta look like AJ to be AJ anymore.
In America, yes, but not in Mexico, man. They still want the telenovela. They still want the hero.
Bruh,
they
how
still
many
want
Mexicans
that guy.
look like Canelo first off, bro? How many Mexicans are
None,
in shape? Come on.
But that's
I
why
think this
I'm
is
saying.
I think this is closer to what we think a Mexican is. A guy that eats tacos, that's fucking chilling, watching boxing, drinking beer. This is what Andy looks like. That's why we liked Areola.
He'll be the Mexican American star. He won't be the Mexican star. Canelo's just too big, man. It's just another level. But I mean, you know what? But he's gonna be bigger than Deontay. That's the truth.
Cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it.
Well, that was an interesting call. We did drop off with them though. Let me connect them again. Yeah, man. Good call. Good call. Interesting takes from everyone. I don't know, man. I just feel he can be that star, man. I really do. If he can beat AJ again, then he can just activate his opportunities of, going on his own little, I guess, PR campaign, right? Where, he takes the fights that he needs in the markets that he wants to build his popularity, which is soaring right now. Let's go out to Jack is the Truth that came all the way from the UK, covered the fight for TBV, but after suffering, having to watch that, didn't really send anything in. Jack, what's up, brother? You alive? You made it back?
I'm alive, just about. I'm alive.
So what up, bruh?
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
We do. We hear you.
Yeah, what's good, man? I'm disappointed, man. I was happy to be in America. It was nice to meet most of you guys. The result was what it was. But yeah, man, we'll run it back. I've got to say,
you seem defeated.
The reason why I called in, I'm not defeated. I'm disappointed. It's AJ. I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know whether he underestimated or whether he just wasn't right, but he didn't perform like we know he could. So obviously it was disappointing. But the reason why I'm calling really is because H money and the theme of most of the people that called they seem to flip flop very quickly. H money's been championing AJ all this time, and he lost, so everybody's on his back. That's the reason why boxing can't be what it is in the UK in America, because you guys jump ship as soon as somebody loses. I mean, it's one loss. If Andy Ruiz does it again, then we can ask questions. But I mean, he's lost. We'll take the L and we move on. He's taking it well, so I think everybody else should give him the benefit of the doubt. You need to support people, not just through the good times, but through the bad times. That's why we're fans. So yeah, we're disappointed, but I'm sure AJ will pull it back. But overall, my experience in the US was amazing.
As a UK, resident and an AJ fan, don't you feel he should run it back right here in America where he lost it? Doesn't it seem quite cowardly to run back to your safe haven and ask for the rematch there under the comfort of your people and your judges and your home?
I mean, it should be inconsequential in my opinion where the fight is. If you feel if the fact that he was the champion.
Remember that his hashtag for the week was "We don't partake, we take over."
Yeah, that was his game. I'm not disputing any of that. What I'm saying is that he earned the right to call where he wants the rematch by winning. If Andy Ruiz beats him the second time,
he didn't win though. That's what I'm saying. Like, he lost, and this has always been the issue with most people with AJ in that rematch. Dillian White had the same issue. It's like, if I beat you, why do you get to dictate what happens next?
Because he's the champ.
You should be given a rematch.
Ruiz,
yes, you're entitled to a rematch, but to dictate the terms,
because he's earned the right, and that's what will happen with. That's exactly what happened with Klitschko and AJ. Klitschko was considered the A side, so he got to dictate where and what terms the rematch would be, and he decided not to take it in the end. It's a privilege that you earn as a champion.
I don't know, man.
If Ruiz does it twice, he gets to do that as well to whoever he wants.
I just don't see how AJ earns anything back, right? Like, so you're telling me, at the very least, as a boxing fan, I would like to say this. Okay, Ruiz has to fight you over there. Let's say hypothetically he loses over there. Are you going to then rematch him again in America?
If who loses?
If Ruiz loses in the UK, are we going to get a rematch again in America? Because it would only be right. It's very skeptical.
I'm sure that's up for negotiation, but I'm sure there isn't a third rematch clause. The fans will demand that we fight again. I'm sure AJ, if he beats Ruiz in the rematch, will want to fight him again in America and put that right. That's the nature of him.
I just don't get why not fight him in AJ.
Your location and everything. Look, we don't. The reason why he lost isn't because he was in America.
Yes,
the
it
reason why
was. Yes, it was.
Ruiz
We got
beat
a
him
guy.
because he was better.
See that's
No,
the thing. That's the thing that you're not getting. Everyone is saying something was wrong with AJ. That wasn't the AJ. You know what
that's
was
not
wrong?
what I'm saying. I'm saying
telling
that
you
Ruiz beat him because
that's
he had the better game plan.
No, man. Everybody could
He
see.
did.
Everybody could see that AJ was tired from the first round. It was new territory. He
Okay,
had to get
let me give me
acclimated.
my
He had to get
assessment
acclimated
of
to a new time zone. He had all these, media obligations. But look, I got to get to other calls. He had all these media obligations. It was unfamiliar territory, bro. You got to get in the ring and understand that. When you get in the ring, it's totally different. You get an energy spike that dumps. You can't breathe. It's crazy. C-Man, talk to me.
Yo. What's good? Listen. I just want to ask you a quick question just before I go into it. Is that the first time AJ's been tested for VADA testing?
I don't know that. I heard that he's always been on VADA, but you got Dillian White saying that this guy's gets exemplary, I don't know, passes for
Therapeutic usage exemption or
exactly.
something.
I don't know, man. Look, I don't know anything about that stuff. I don't really follow the whole PD thing. I hope AJ isn't that guy. He's a role model for you guys out there.
No.
Be
He's
taking
definitely
drugs.
not a role model. He's a yes man. He's
Oh,
mentally not strong enough to come back from this because
what?
he's had to please so many people. The thing is, right? He's built himself up to a level, and he just can't get past that level. Now he's been defeated. The challenge mentally for him to overcome what has happened to him, I just don't think he's strong enough. I don't think he's got it in him. Because when he goes back in the ring, he will just be having flashbacks of what happened last time. The crowd ain't going to lift him because the crowd was already turning on him before he had this fight. So he hasn't really got the support of the people. I mean, listen, also, just to go back to my initial question, I think personally, he's gassed out because he was using a lot of stuff. I'm not saying he was taking anything, but a lot of the stuff he was probably allowed to take in the UK probably was banned from VADA. So I think he didn't have it in him. He was when he went back to his corner, he was asking his McCracken, why do I feel like this?
Cut it.
Yeah. He probably saying why he feel like that because he had that energy dump, bro. Listen, it was unfamiliar territory, man. Yo, bright lights matter. That's why people say, yo, he ain't never fight under the bright lights. He ain't never fight under 20,000. And AJ ain't never fight in front of 20,000 in Madison Square Garden with all this pressure on him. His debut, it was pressure, man. It was pressure that got to him. That's why they want to have it in the safe haven of their home where he's comfortable. We going out to M Stacks. Talk to me.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, Ness?
What
What's
up?
going on? Man, what that raggedy ass UK host you had that talking about, oh, man, had the worst call in the world. Where he at?
Nah, man, ain't no UK guys been around here in a long time, man. They ducking and dodging. Akon ain't been on the show in I don't know how long, bruh. And he ain't even been fired or none of that good shit. He ain't been around, man. I don't know. Everybody smelt it. It was in the water, man. Everybody, any UK dude affiliated with TBV, they dipped off. They knew it was coming. They knew the heat was coming, man. They felt it.
Got other people removing me?
I don't know, man. You got kicked off, but go ahead.
It's a UK protector up in here. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry your frog got knocked the fuck out. I'm sorry. I told you he was a fraud. Didn't I tell you this repeatedly? Didn't I tell you this guy was ducking? Y'all thought I was crazy. This motherfucker got his soul taken on Saturday. I hope he does fight him again. Wherever. He can fight him in Australia. I'm going to take all y'all money this time. If y'all ain't get it taken this time, it's going to get taken all next time. Frauds. Here in America, we can see a fraud. Over there in the UK, y'all's attracted to muscles and shit. But over here, we're attracted to heart and real motherfuckers. That's what we do over here. It's America, Jack. He came over here and got the real. That motherfucker got his ass whooped and good riddance. Now we got a real champ who's willing to fight champions. Fuck him. That's my call.
Well, have a good day. Have a good day. No way. Talk to me on Skype. No way. No way.
Hey, hey, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
We hear you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. That was an excellent fight, and I love your reaction vid. You know, that's what being a real fan looks like. You and your boys out there were going crazy. But like, check it, man. The USA is number one and number two in the world right now. The first time since I don't know Holyfield, Bo, Tyson, Holyfield. Sometime it's been a long time. But to answer your question about Ruiz and Canelo, who's bigger, who could be bigger, yeah, man, the Mexicans, they love, even in America, they love the boxing. Boxeo, Azteca, Telemundo, they always got fights. You know, they got 100 fights a week. No one watches this shit, at least in California. I don't know how it is on the East Coast. Uh, but yeah, man, it doesn't matter if how he looks. You know, the before beat the after picture on this one. So all the regular guys are gonna be coming out. Uh, yeah, man. Regarding the card, I don't see anybody. I don't really hear anybody. Yeah, as far as the powers that be letting AJ lose like that, I don't know if anybody knows this, but AJ was up on one of the judges' scorecards at the
Yeah.
time to stop
And
it.
the fight was
Uh,
even on two of the other scorecards.
yeah, yeah. So,
Cut it,
anywho,
cut it, cut it, cut it.
Crazy. We're going out to 956 503. First time caller. 956 503. First time caller. Who's this?
Yeah, this AJ.
Anthony Joshua.
You can say that.
Nah. Your name AJ for real?
Yeah, for real.
AJ in
All right,
Texas?
check this, man.
Or where you from? Cali or Texas?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
I'm
Texas.
from Texas.
All right,
Ghana.
brother. Talk to us.
Yeah. So check this, right? On the subject of Andy Ruiz being on the same level as Canelo, he has the opportunity to do that because of the fact that the man do speak English on this side. Yes! And he bilingual too. So because of the fact he can speak English and Spanish, that's already the connection that he needs to connect with those fans over in Mexico. Not just that, his fighting style goes with a lot of real Mexican fans want. That come forward, they get hit, they ain't gonna just go back. They gonna take one, bam, let another one go. And I mean that's exactly how it caught AJ. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Well, all right, brother, man. Thank you for calling in. AJ in Texas, we got you. So next time we will address you properly. We're going out to Smart Money on Skype. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button as it helps with the visibility of the show. It lets us know that you respect us coming out at 9 a.m. for a morning show in your respected location, right? So 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. West Coast, 8 a.m. Central, 2 p.m. UK. Smart Money, talk to me.
What's good, Nesta?
Whoa, brother. Whoa. I don't know. Maybe you're a little too loud or you got a bad connection. Can you try that again?
Yeah, what's good, Nesta? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. A little bit robotic. We're going to go try it for a little bit, see if it gets better as you go. Talk to us.
Yeah, Nesta, man. Can you not hear me properly? Or my sound kind of fucked?
It doesn't sound too great. You want to hang up and call again? Go ahead and do that, and we'll get you right in. We got Ade. Talk to me. With all that background noise, I know you driving too, Ade. Ade? Or do I need to say your whole name? Ade Miola? All right, you got to unmute, champ. Yes, no?
Okay.
Yo, Ness.
Got you, Ade. Talk to me.
Alright, cool. Alright, so Andy Ruiz is gonna be bigger than Canelo. That is fact. Did you see his Instagram followers? That nigga went from 10,000 to like 700,000 in 24 hours.
He got 600 now.
Yeah, he went to like 655,000. He was on 15K. Come on, man. And it's not like he was lucky or something. He just threw a punch and AJ went down. No, he beat AJ up. I don't think AJ's gonna take the rematch, bro. He's not gonna take it because he got beat up. This was not a one punch luck or something. He got spanked. And AJ, I think there's something wrong with him. AJ's dad, I heard Peter Fury was saying, Eddie wanted AJ to continue fighting. So AJ's dad was pissed off, like, yo, you don't care about my son's health. You talking about you want the nigga to keep fighting. Even that nigga look concussed and she looked like he got a brain damage. So I think that's what happened. That's why Eddie's dad was wilding at AJ's dad after the fight. But honestly, I don't think AJ's gonna take the rematch. Honestly, because he's gonna get beat up again. This guy is just too fast. You get close to him, he's gonna punch you up. Like, how is AJ gonna win? AJ doesn't even know how to jab like that. How is he going? I don't see how he's gonna win. Like, I don't see how he's gonna win. But that's my call, man.
A day, man. Thanks for calling in. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're gonna go out to Smart Money again on the check-in. Talk to me. You gotta unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We hear
Still
you.
sound. Yeah, man. Watching that fight was the night of my life. Because I always said AJ's not as good as everyone thinks he is. He's good, but he's not as good as everyone thinks he is. And they shouldn't just be belittling all the other heavyweights, thinking AJ just gonna run through them. Because it's not like that. And he ain't really that good. But yeah, happy belated birthday, Nesta, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
All right, cool. That's all I had to say, really.
All right. R&V, Boomerang. All right. Looks like R&V is good, so that means we are done. Hopefully, Mike comes back from the electronics store with a new mic, and we can get us some work done together. Do appreciate everyone that tuned into the morning show. If you can, hit that thumbs up button in the morning. Future, present, past, doesn't matter. Helps with the visibility of the show. Lets others find it.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
Helps
Goodbye.
them find this podcast. You know, if you want to help this podcast out, absolutely free. You can drop us a 5-star review on iTunes. That's a great way to help TBV. You want to continue to help TBV absolutely free, you can head on over to theboxingvoice.com/affiliate sponsors and use our Amazon hyperlink whenever you do any Amazon shopping. It won't cost you anything. They won't charge you anything, except they'll give us a kickback for directing you there, and that would be a small way for you to help TBV without it costing you absolutely nothing. Want to go a step further? Head on over to patreon.com, sign up to patreon.com/theboxingvoice. Become like R&V, a mastermind, and receive a bi-monthly perk with other perks. As you can see, he cuts the line, plus he gets his boomerang status to call back in, be a mastermind like Javier, and be part of the show and the direction in which it goes. Be a ringer, just cut that line because you got no time to wait. Doesn't matter, many tiers, but as long as you sign up for as little as $3 a month, $3 a month, that's like a penny a day probably. I mean, I'm horrible with math, but listen, I need to make it sound good, right? But the point is, you'll get that betting show every Friday. You'll get Untitled every Monday, where we review movies, just talk. Mike slides in his other sports and stuff like that, but we'll talk music, movies, boxing, a little bit of everything. Women, I mean, last episode was your favorite porn star, well, one of the subjects. So definitely head on over to theboxingvoice.com and you can find our support Patreon button there, or you can go directly to patreon.com/theboxingvoice and, sign up. We'll be back with another one. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us get to 200,000. We accomplished that 100,000 this year. We're looking to get to that 200,000 mark, and we can only do so with your help. If you haven't already caught our immediate reaction to Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz knocking him out and dethroning him for all 4 titles, head on over to youtube.com and check that out. It's on the playlist, Boxing Voice Podcast. It is very entertaining. It was very organic, and it's going viral, man. We're very excited. Has so many positive reviews and just comments, and we appreciate everybody's love. Hopefully that's the one that takes us over the top, right? Every YouTube channel needs that million hit video that gets them all the subscribers, right? We need to get in the front of eyes of many so that this show can continue to grow, and we get us more callers that call in here on a daily basis, like the NOs of the world and the, Anthony's from Cincinnati. We got pro boxers like Marlon Sims, guys like RMV and NO in Florida. We got Majid and Wakeem and Hurricane Ray, Javier in Alabama. Mitty in the UK, Naja in the UK. It's just so many, man. The show's international. Vito in Malaysia, right? They're all over the world, man. What's up with my West African, man? I miss him, bro. Muhammad, he hasn't called in a long time. But yes, shout out to everyone that listens to the show. Hit that thumbs up button, future, present, past. I'm out. Peace.